Hello and welcome to another review. Today we're going to be talking a bit about the Boox Max Lumi 2. Now I've had this e-reader device for almost a year and it's been my fantastic little notepad for all of my work notes. I really have been super productive using this as my go-to device on a daily basis to capture all of my work notes. I started my journey with e-ink with another device from the Boox series, which was the Boox Air version 1. I used that for a good few months and somehow there was something missing. I sort of felt it wasn't zippy enough for me to accomplish what I needed to achieve with that device. So I upgraded to the Max Lumi 2. The Max Lumi 2 comes with 6 gigabytes worth of RAM. It runs on the Android operating system, and that gives you immediate access to a whole bunch of apps which you can install onto the device. The other great thing is that the device comes in built with 128 gigabytes worth of storage, and that's plenty of storage to actually get going and keep you future-proof as you load on more and more content into this device. Now with this huge screen, which is probably, I'm guessing, in the 11 to 12 inch kind of zone, you can actually even run this screen in a split screen mode where you can have one app on the left, such as your Kindle, and maybe a note-taking app on the right. And that is plenty of flexibility which you get to really multitask. And this is a very important feature of the Onyx Boox product line, because it runs off Android. There is this inherent flexibility it gives you, and I know many of you are going to be out there right now this holiday season considering whether to go after the Kindle Scribe. Now, first and foremost, I need to be very, very clear here. The Max Lumi 2 or any of the Boox series, its primary function is note-taking. It's an excellent note-taking device, and everything else on top of that is really a value-added bonus. But its core strength lies in its native note-taking ability. And we'll talk a bit more about that as we progress through this demo today. So this particular device by itself, I'm looking at the settings screen right now. So obviously there's a whole bunch of settings you can put in. Now, because I use this for work, I did not set up cloud sync, right? I like my notes to be confidential. I don't want a copy of my notes to be floating around in some unnamed server. So this device specifically does not sync to the cloud. So Onyx does give you 5 gigabytes worth of cloud space. Right now, all of my notes are kept on this device, and I can take the notes out of this device by simply connecting to a web service which is built into the device, which allows me to transfer files in and out. So what I've realized with this particular company is that they are really good at publishing firmware updates. So, over the last year, I have witnessed that they regularly make firmware updates, probably once every 2 months or maybe once even a month. But it's there. I mean, probably 6 to 7 good updates within the year. So if I'm looking at the last update over here, it was done on the 30th or 31st of October, which is not too far back. And if you look at the update history, you can see that they're very, very regular in publishing these firmware updates, which is awesome, because that's what we want our tech providers to do, right? We don't want them to just sell us a device and not get these firmware updates, because the hardware is a one-time build. It's the value which is created through the update of the software is really where users like you and me get maximum value and mileage from the products which we buy. And that is why it's very important to have a device where the service provider is going to push out these updates on a regular basis. And I really, really commend the Boox team for doing that. So let's sort of dive into some of the inherent capabilities. So within this actual ecosystem which is provided, you obviously have the Android App Store from which you can install apps. So let's sort of go into that. So, right now I've installed Kindle, Kobo Books, I've got Notion, OneNote, Microsoft Word, and even got Audible, because within this device there's actually a bunch of speakers built in, so I can even play audiobooks uh, out, which is great. The web browser is not too bad. I've even got Chrome installed. So that gives you a good gauge of the kind of flexibility the device actually provides. I've also installed the HP print service plugin into this device, so I can print my notes out directly onto my laser printer, which is a great way for me to get a hard copy. Of course, I can also PDF my notes and then sync it out that way. But every now and then, if I do want to capture a quick printout, I can do that as well. Now, getting into Kindle by itself, the Kindle app by itself works. You can, as you can see, the app loads up. Obviously, you're not going to get the same level of performance as you get from an actual Kindle device in terms of how quickly the pages render, but it does work. I mean, so if this device, if it is your primary note-taking device and you just want to have Kindle on it, yes, you can use it. Is it going to give you the best experience? Probably not. Is it a bad experience? Definitely not bad. It is workable, as you can see. Nice to see the content on a big screen. I mean, in the end, you're running Kindle off an app, right? It is not the same as running Kindle off a Kindle device, if that kind of makes sense. Now, because it's Android, there is Windows management. You can switch off an app, you can close it, and you can also clear the RAM. So this has 6 gigabytes of RAM. I'm just going to clear the RAM now, and that clears it all up. Now, looking at, I guess, the note-taking capability, which is what we're really excited about, and this is why we buy devices such as this. The note-taking capability is absolutely awesome. So I can set up folders, and within the folders, I can set up notebooks, and within the notebooks, you can capture apps. If I go into one on user experience, which I've created, I get this full A4 kind of length screen over here, and I'm able to actually write my notes in a lot of detail. And it's very, very clear. I can install, I can have layers. So I can go into a particular page, for example. I can change the template on the back end. So if I wanted to create a new layer, I can disable this layer and I can choose another template, and that becomes my background, right? And then the writing on this device, the latency is low, and it is remarkably, clean as well. So I can write text which is really small, and I can also write text which can be quite big. It doesn't really matter. It scales in really quite well. There are different kinds of brushes, so the brush palette is quite big. There is a fountain pen, there is a brush pen, there is a ballpoint, there is a pencil, and there is a marker. So if I go into the brush pen, if I increase the width, you can see the brush pen. If I wanted to change this to a fountain pen, and similarly, you can see that the marking is slightly different. If I want to go into a ball pen, if I want to go into a pencil, see the pencil even creates that kind of a texture, which is really wonderful to the eye. You can see this kind of a really textured kind of a presentation of the pens. Now, again, within this particular tool, you can obviously create shapes. So, if you wanted to just draw a box, you can draw a box. If you wanted to create different shapes, then you can just select, whether it's a circle, whether it's a triangle, a hexagon, what have you. You can change the type of the lines you want. And there's also different colors. Now, while the colors are all in different shades of gray, there are some colors such as red, green, and blue. So if you print this out onto a color printer, you will actually notice that while you're writing this in black and white, you actually can set color preferences as well. Now, the other great thing is there is the ability to, move your text around. So you can create the lasso and you can drag the content to another part of the screen. You can move your content around. You can also resize the content. So it's really good in that sense that you are able to play with this canvas as much as you want. You can even search for text within your documents. You can search actual text. You can even search for scribbles which you have annotated. So it is really a remarkable tool to actually capture your notes. What I also like about this device is the fact that there is the ability to rotate it and use it not just in a vertical manner, but also in a horizontal manner. And you can do that quite simply by dragging down the control panel from the right. And you can see that there is a rotate option here. So if you click on the rotate option, it shows you how you want to rotate the screen. So in this case, I've now rotated it horizontally. Similarly, I can now rotate it back, and it comes back to the vertical layout. Now, the cool trick, which I really like about this device, is the fact that I can split the screen up as well. So if I choose a split screen and I can choose it to, say, vertical mode, I can now have, for example, a notebook open at the bottom or on the top, and I can view some content on the other one. So I can sort of refer to something, and then at the same time, I can write on the other side as well, right? So if, for example, if I wanted to look at a particular article below, and I wanted to take notes on the top, then I can do that. So it's like great multitasking, viewing content at the bottom. Maybe it makes more sense if I rotate this horizontally, perhaps, to create that ideal view. So anyway, now coming back to this particular thing about writing on PDFs. Now, so long as it's a PDF document, you can annotate on a PDF, right? So you can annotate anywhere on the PDF. It does get saved, which is great. You obviously can't do this on a book which is open within the Kindle app, but if it's any PDF which you have downloaded, then you can definitely annotate on top of it. So I normally, whenever I load up my documents, they'll all be what was in the library folder. So here you can see that I've got a whole bunch of articles I've saved from the Harvard Business Review. I've got some other documents. Maybe I've got some documents on crypto. So for example, if I open up, this particular document, which talks about what is metaverse, and if I wanted to sort of annotate on it, I can. And this is really cool. And this is then saved. And then if I print this out, then obviously my annotations come out as well, right? So that is perfect way for you to really use this particular device as a learning aid. Note taking, obviously the number one use of it. And this other use is really to read a lot of these research papers, especially if you're an academic, or if you read a lot of PDFs. It's really nice to view these documents in an A4 kind of a context, right? You don't have to zoom in and zoom out screen. There is no need for you to actually zoom in and zoom out, which is a problem on some of the smaller e-readers, because there you then have to sort of scale in and scale out of the different pages, right? So here you don't actually have to. Now, within this particular e-reading software, which is there for the PDFs, there is also the ability to listen to the PDF using the audio facility. So you can play this, and it uses the Google English.
11 Virtual Worlds 12A collection of verses, 13 Colonizing the Virtual World 05.
So you can read the PDF documents as well. Obviously, you can even set auto pacing of the screens to move along based on a particular timing. So we have looked at the native apps. We have looked at what you can do in terms of the reading the PDFs. Now, books by themselves, they've got their own store as well. So within the store, they've got a whole bunch of royalty-free, I guess, open source kind of books, right? The classics, which are also available for you to download. So, I mean, these are all the vintage stuff like, Treasure Island and Shakespeare and, all of the stuff which we all grew up with as kids, right? So, I mean, they're still great reading. There's still a lot of great stuff out there. And it's nice that this is there for you to use. So, like, would I buy this again? I think I would. I think this has been one of those really good devices where it just sort of gets you to do what you need to do from a work perspective, to be creative, to have the tool by your side for you to take notes without being distracted. And that has been the most important thing. Like I have iPads, I have other tools as well, but this has been one of those things where I've just been able to focus on capturing the note and without having to worry about, being distracted by all of those other, iOS notifications which you get on a tablet. I don't necessarily use the other App Store capabilities. I mean, it's there. I do once in a while tinker around with OneNote because I do have some notes over there, but my primary note-taking device, or rather app, is actually the built-in app, which is within this particular device. Now, within, you can actually create as many folders as you want. There is also the ability to, I think, use a calendar function, which does exist in some remote way. But other than that, you can buy your own templates and you can add those templates on here as well. There are a lot of people creating templates, open source templates to use, and that is perfectly fine. You can buy them, you can load them up into the drive by using the built-in web service. So I use the web service quite often to upload and download documents directly between the device and my laptop or my mobile phone. All in all, it's really been a pleasure using this. Of course, Android by itself is not very well optimized, as we all know, and that is a constant struggle with a lot of these kind of companies who are using the Android OS. But this is one of the better devices. So if you are looking at e-ink, obviously look at the basic functions, right? Like, make sure it's got a faster CPU, make sure you've got as much RAM as you can get, because it does sort of, choke the device if you have many applications open at the same time. So be smart about it. Don't go for the cheapest models. You will really struggle to scale it up as the device gets older. Go for the premium top-end models if you must, and invest in that early. I do have the Kindle Scribe as well, which is in a separate video. I think from a note-taking perspective, this is a better note-taking device, whereas the Kindle Scribe is a better Kindle device, with note-taking being an add-on service. And the converse is true for this. This is not really a great device for reading Kindle books. I mean, it gets the job done, but it is primarily a note-taking device. Now, in terms of the pen, it comes with a pen out of the box, I believe. You get to choose which one. This pen is not, it's okay. Maybe that was my old one, sorry. This is the new one. This is the new Boox pen which came with it. It's got a magnetic piece as well. But at the same time, it's okay. But I think I prefer to use the Staedtler pencil, the Norris Digital Jumbo. It's got a built-in eraser at the back, and that's really nice. So if you are getting an e-reader device, I would suggest consider getting the Norris Jumbo pencil. However, on the Kindle Scribe, the premium pencil is really good. I really like the pencil they've given on that device. I did pick this specifically over the Remarkable 2 when I was considering this particular device, for the simple reason that I felt that this was a better value for money. Remarkable 2, with their cloud syncing services and the way they were just pricing everything in, just seemed a bit off. It just didn't really seem like they were being very sincere in, the way they were packaging and pricing everything together. It just seemed a bit too much. And there was probably too much aggressive marketing by, you're paying for like some very, very big names to back the product in a lot of their marketing campaigns. So that didn't really fly with me. So long story short, I've used 2 Boox devices. They've been really good. I hear that the Boox Air 2 was a really big improvement over the Boox Air 1. And they've got some new other models which have come out in the last 1 year. Not too close to which are the best ones, but do your research. Do give them a try out. Best is if you can try it out in a store nearby before you buy it. But if your primary need is just really to read Kindle devices and take the occasional notes, just get the Kindle Scribe. I think that's probably it. So that's it from me. I hope this was useful. I have been sitting on doing this review for quite a long time. I'm glad I finally took the time out to make this short video to help you all decide which wagon to jump onto. So thanks very much and have a great day.